Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Our guest today is Puneet. So Puneet, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do for a living.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for inviting me. This is Puneet from India, Gurgaon. I've been building a brand, for day-to-day affairs, and this is largely a tech-led personal care category.
Awesome. So tell me just more about your brand, like what exactly it is and how you got the idea for it.
Well, I come from a background where I used to work for defense and have seen their life, which was pretty tough in terms of maintaining their hygiene, and build a $500 million company before this, where we used to upgrade weapons so that, soldiers can see in the night. Primarily, we built a couple of technologies in India. And during the time, realized that they don't have access to water wherever they've been going, at least in extreme conditions. And being a product guy and largely to the space which I love, so build a category where people can take baths without water. And that is how I got started. And then, it's a history, we've just scaled up into that category, created more and more products in the space.
Awesome. So how does it work exactly? Right? So the baths without water. So, can you describe that process?
So, taking a bath without water is kind of quite simple. So when you take a normal bath, eventually, water becomes a rinsing process. You eventually apply, water, and the oil, dirt, grease molecules are, combined with the soap, and then water is being used to remove those particles. So in that case, we created a different formulation where the water was not required. So you just spray, wipe, and that's it. So we've created a kind of a tagline, try the dry way. So that's quite simple.
Awesome. So for your products, right, who would you say is an ideal customer for you?
So ideal customer is primarily, anyone who do not have access to water, adventure enthusiasts, travelers, soldiers, patients, they are my ideal customers.
So are you selling this product right now only in India or is it sold globally? Like, what does that look like for you?
Definitely, market is global, because if you look at a situation, irrespective you're anywhere, I think if you do not have access to water, you have to maintain your hygiene, right? However, we currently focus in India. We got some international, consumers, right, who love the products and they've been buying it. So we got, recently on Amazon US, we got some importers who've been selling, outside India. And then, since later on, we extended our category to a larger personal care use case. So therefore, eventually we have a wider consumer base, not limited to only adventure enthusiasts and soldiers.
That's amazing. So yeah, essentially most of your sales today are still in India. So what's the breakdown percentage versus different channels like, retail, direct to consumer, even food service? I guess you could say like hospitality, like, what does that look like in terms of percentages? Yeah.
Yeah, the overall category which we sell, which is, 75% business come from retail, selling from marketplaces and our own website. That business tuned to kind of a 5% and rest is institutional.
Awesome. So what would you say is like the biggest challenge right now when it comes to your business?
Biggest challenge. Okay. So I think, in our space, if you look at, since, you're a product-led company, and it's extremely difficult that consumer to understand the superiority of your products, that how, we've built a patent, we have got patent granted, despite of the fact, explaining same thing to the consumer, it becomes very tough. So therefore, that thin line that consumer will understand, that requires a lot of cost. So which becomes very expensive. And hence, this seems like kind of a biggest challenge. But I think as we have been growing, scaling it up, a lot of adoption has been coming and a lot of repeat users have been coming.
Hey y'all, it's Dan Melnick, the CEO of Zing. And I wanted to share a special offer for all of our listeners. Right now, if you need software development services, we'll give you 2 weeks of a free trial. Do you need to update your website? Do you want to build a mobile app? Do you want to update something that you've been working on for a long time? We've worked in a high-level technologies like AI, machine learning, blockchain. So shoot me a text, 817-874-2208. Thank you.
So how have you done that education piece? Has that been more like on YouTube or Instagram? Like what has been like the best channel for you to educate your customers?
I mean, look, if you look at a best channel, definitely it's a YouTube. Okay. However, we have been using Meta, Google all across. Yeah.
So do you have like people within your company or influencers? Like who is the one that's going and explaining the value of your products?
Correct. Of course. I mean, people inside in the company, they build that kind of a structure so that consumer will get to know the benefits of the product.
For sure. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool what you're doing, especially like on the go and people that need to take a bath without water. I mean, like in America, obviously we have lots of people that are in the service or people who are, adventurers and things like that. So is that part of your focus and target here in like in the US market? Or are you still really focused on India in the next few years?
So look, as I said, focus is India at this point of time. However, because we've got patent granted, and I think that information circulates like anything. So
Right.
we got a lot of inquiries across the globe, right? So we have been now taking all inbound requests. We are not reaching out ourselves, building our offices in those countries. But if there is an organic request, we are evaluating that whether we can actually do it with them or not.
Awesome. So obviously we're a bit over halfway into 2024. So what is your top priority to finish out 2024 for your business?
Well, since my co-founder has joined, right? So he's been taking, day-to-day operations, how to run the business, scaling it up. He's an expert to build $1 billion business. For me, primarily, I've been more involved in fundraising, where, meeting investors, telling the stories and the long-term plans, and then how we can actually build from here to, $1 billion company, and how they will go get their exit. So what stage, they are going to get their returns, whatever their investments have been done in the company. So I think largely involved in those kind of a conversation, and which consumes my lot of bandwidth.
Awesome. So obviously many companies today are using very high level technology like AI. So do you guys currently use AI? And if not, where could I come in and give you more value?
Well, yes. I mean, in our space also, because our categories are largely very technology led, as I said initially. One is on a formulation front in terms of identifying your root cause of any challenge on your skin. And using AI, we are able to help them to measure the results. So, for example, if I have a database of millions of faces, I know this kind of a spot is meant. This is the reason, and we are able to give them an analysis post evaluation that this is the kind of improvement in their skin score. So that is how AI is actually we are trying to integrate within our system.
That's amazing. Have you thought about AI for like customer service, for example?
Not really. I mean, that's not something. I mean, this is kind of but obvious nowadays. You have to
Right.
automate all of this stuff. But I think something which I feel where consumer do not have an opportunity to measure currently their results. So we are
Right.
trying to automate via AI if they can automate their results. I mean, they can measure their results. So, because, once you buy it, right, post purchase, you do not have any experience. I
Right.
mean, you get to know a lot of claims by the brand, but whether that claims will stand after the purchase or not, and as a consumer you do not have an opportunity to measure it. So we are trying to bridge that gap, building our technology piece so that consumer will have more crystal clear clarity.
Makes sense. So what would you say is the biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew before you started this company?
So well,
Mhm.
there are many things, but I think if you ask me, it's important, to have a clarity of your 10th step before you start. So it's not important, first step. I've been saying, that it is important to start. That is true. But it is also important you should know your 10th step today while at start, so that, you have a path which is giving you a clarity. So it's like a Google map, right? When I put an end goal in my Google map, right, I already know that there is a red spot in between, and I will have to plan myself during that time. So I think this is something which I've learned. So because, you will learn, of course, being hustlers as founders, you will find a way to solve the problem. But I think if you can preempt, right, and you have a clarity, that is going to give you a lot of certainty.
For sure. So if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
From now here, I
Yeah,
think we're doing 5x business and we will have more content to talk and more learning.
amazing. So, if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or social media? I guess best ways to get in contact.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so what's your website, Instagram?
This is clensta.com, our website, and our Instagram is GoClensta.
Awesome. Well, Puneet, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you for taking time out.
Thank
Lovely
you.
talking to you.
Likewise, thank you.